Hi guys, welcome back to I Speak English. My name's Hayley, and in this lesson we're going to take a look at some collocations for your Cambridge C1 exam to talk about health. So collocations are really important in your C1 exam. Specifically, you'll get tested in use of English. You need to use them in your writing as well and in your speaking. Examiners are looking out for these because they make your speaking and your writing just sound more natural. So, certain verbs go with certain nouns, certain adverbs go with certain verbs, certain nouns goes with certain adjectives. And if you get that combination wrong, your speech just sounds really off and strange. Like it's very noticeable to a native speaker when they're listening to you. So this is why collocations are important. Before we do take a look at some collocations, please do make sure you're subscribed to the channel and give this video a like if you learned something new today or if it helps you. We just need this video to get to as many people as possible who are studying for the Cambridge C1 exam, and likes are the way to do that. So please do give it a quick like if you've got a spare second. And for now, we're going to get started and take a look at our collocations then. So first of all, you might be asking yourself, what is a collocation? I've never heard of this word before. I've got no idea what one is. A collocation is just basically a combination of words. So it might be a noun with an adjective. It might be an adverb with an adverb. It might be a noun with a verb. Certain words go with certain other words. For example, heavy rain. Okay, we don't say fat rain, we don't say hard rain, we say heavy rain. Blonde hair, okay, we don't say yellow hair, it's blonde hair. You pay attention. In other languages, you might give attention. In English, we pay attention. So it's these natural combinations of words that, again, if I said give attention to somebody in English, they would kind of look at me a bit funny, like, what are you talking about? Because it just sounds strange. So these are what we're going to focus on today, our collocations. Specifically, like we said, for talking about health. So we're going to look at some collocations with the verb undergo, which is quite common when we're talking about health. So we've got 4 words that go with the verb undergo. Therapy, you can undergo therapy. You can undergo surgery. You can undergo testing, and you can undergo treatment. All of those collocate nicely with undergo. Therapy, for example. You could say she decided to undergo therapy to address the root cause of her anxiety. Okay, so we wouldn't say do therapy, for example. You don't do therapy. You can go to therapy. You can also undergo therapy, but you wouldn't make or do therapy. So stay away from make or do if you're talking about therapy. But surgery. Patients who undergo surgery often require several weeks of rehabilitation. Okay, again, you could say have surgery, or a more formal equivalent would be undergo. Again, we wouldn't say do, we wouldn't say make. Okay, undergo or have. With testing, the new vaccine, that should say the new vaccine, not new vaccine. The new vaccine had to undergo extensive testing before being approved for public use. Okay, yeah, so something undergoes testing. Or it is tested. You could say that in a passive way, to be tested, or to undergo testing. And the other one was treatment. Okay, so she's currently undergoing treatment for a chronic autoimmune disorder. Yes, again, you could say having treatment, but this is a more formal equivalent, slightly more advanced as well. Have, meh, it's a very simple word. Undergo is more advanced. So if you use this more advanced vocabulary in your exam, in your writing, for example, or in your speaking, you'll have higher marks, basically. They might also test you on this in your Part 1 reading. If you want a good Part 1 reading video, click up there. I made a video a few weeks ago with all your differences between your Part 1 words, so you can take a look there. And keyword transformation as well. They'll test you on stuff like this in keyword transformation. Again, take a look up there for a keyword transformation video. Right, so they're all collocations with undergo. Then we're going to take a look at some verb-noun collocations, some other kind of common verb-noun collocations. So we've got to place a strain on something. Specifically, you could place a strain on a relationship, but also on a system, also on, yeah, we generally tend to use this with systems or, yeah, systems. Okay, for example, an aging population can place a strain on healthcare systems, particularly in rural areas, okay? So instead of you saying, make it difficult for, which is again kind of boring, low-level language, place a strain on becomes a more advanced paraphrase of that. So you get higher points. All right, next one we've got tackle a crisis. Okay, tackle, that's a nice verb there. So governments must work together to tackle the global health crisis effectively. Okay, if you tackle something, yeah, you can kind of fight it, or you deal with it in some way. So you can use tackle instead of fight for a more advanced alternative. Next up, we've got ease the burden. That's a really nice one. A burden is something very heavy. It's not a physical thing. It's something very heavy that weighs on you, that makes life difficult for you. Okay, it's like, you know, you've got this burden that you carry with you. Again, it's not physical, it's more, could be mental, could be emotional, or just something more abstract. To use it in a sentence, expanding telemedicine services could help ease the burden on hospitals. So again, it's like saying make something easier. It could make it easier for hospitals. You could also say lighten the load. That could be a nice alternative there, to lighten the load. Ease the burden, lighten the load. Okay. And our final one is alleviate symptoms. Okay, so again, instead of saying like make symptoms better or have less symptoms, we have the verb alleviate. So, for example, the medication helps to alleviate symptoms, although it did not cure the disease. Okay. You can also alleviate pain as well. Alleviate pain, alleviate symptoms. There's some collocations for you. So there are verb-noun collocations. By the way, if you want to practice any of these collocations, just leave a comment. Write a sentence in the comments using these collocations that you just learnt, and I'll give you corrections if you need it. Okay. And if you also want to learn some more collocations specifically for C1 Advanced, I have got some flashcards in the description for you. I'll leave the link there. Click that link, you can download them for free, and you can just kind of practice those in the meantime. Remember, vocabulary is a very big part of the C1 exam, so you want to be building that regularly over time, rather than trying to rush it in a few weeks before the exam. So download those there and you can keep learning some collocations. Link is in the description. I'll put the link there as well if you want it. We're going to carry on and we're going to take a look at adverb-verb collocations. So before we looked at verb-noun collocations, now we've got some adverb-verb collocations. Okay, so we've got strongly recommend. So doctors strongly recommend regular exercise to reduce the risk of heart disease. So instead of saying like heavily recommend, we wouldn't say heavily recommend. Strongly recommend. You can also say highly recommend as well. That's another collocation there. Highly recommend, strongly recommend. We can also use advise as well. Strongly advise somebody to do something. Okay. We've also got fully recover. That's our second one. So thanks to early diagnosis, she was able to fully recover within a few months. Okay. So instead of saying completely recover, you could also switch this round to adjective-noun and say she made a full recovery. We can collocate that way as well. Or to use fewer words, we could say to fully recover. Then we've got gradually improve. Take a look. So patients often notice that their symptoms gradually improve over several weeks. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how else we could say gradually improve. to slowly improve, but that actually has a different meaning instead of gradually. But yeah, improve at a steady rate, let's say, to gradually improve. And then we also have dramatically increase. Okay. A lack of sleep can dramatically increase the risk of developing chronic conditions. Indeed. Okay, so you've got dramatically increase. You could also say significantly increase as well. They're two good collocations to use with increase. You could also use that with decrease, dramatically decrease, significantly decrease. So you can use it with increase and decrease as well. Alright, so there are adverb verbs. And then we've got adjective nouns. So we've seen noun verbs, we've seen adverb verbs, and now we're looking at adjective nouns. So let's take a look. You could have an underlying condition. Okay, so the virus poses a greater threat to individuals with an underlying condition. If you have an underlying condition, it's like you don't know you have the condition. It's like the condition is lying under or hiding under the surface, so you can't see it. Okay, so underlying condition. By the way, I'm going to show you how you can use these in your speaking exam as well. I'm going to give you a few speaking part 4 questions for us to look at. So do stick around so that you can see how these are used in the exam. So we've got underlying condition, we've got poor eating habits. So poor eating habits lead to obesity and long-term health problems. I often see people who speak Romance languages often refer to like alimentation. People often write that in essays, and I'm like, every time it's like, don't talk about alimentation in English. I think it is a word in English, but we just don't use it. We would say eating habits for alimentation instead. So if you got that mistake, get rid of it and replace it with eating habits. Poor eating habits, good eating habits. Next up, we've got a sedentary lifestyle. So sedentary lifestyle significantly increases the likelihood of cardiovascular disease. So if you have a sedentary lifestyle, you're sat down all the time. Like me, in my job, I'm always sat in my chair. Yeah, you don't really move much. You're just kind of sitting all day. Sedentary lifestyle. So instead of saying like not active, we would say sedentary instead. All right, we've got one left, which is cutting edge treatment. Nice adjective there, cutting edge. Cutting edge is like the most modern, the most up to date, the newest. Okay, so instead of saying new treatment, cutting edge treatment. Again, it's more advanced. You get more points for it. To use it in a sentence, researchers are developing a cutting edge treatment that could revolutionize cancer care. Okay. Right, so again, new. Get rid of the word new and replace it with cutting edge, especially when we're talking about technology or treatments, something to do with health. Okay. Right, so moving on to our exam questions. So we're going to take a look at some part 4 questions. Generally, you won't really be asked about health in part 1. They might ask you about sports, like how do you, do you do more sports, or how do you keep a healthy lifestyle, possibly. But it's more likely in part 4 you'll get asked questions like this. So, for example, you might be asked the question, why do you think mental health problems are becoming more common? Again, in the comments, let me know. Let me know your answer to this question. Try to use the collocations that you've learned today and write me a little comment there answering this question, and I'll correct you if you need it. Okay, so why do you think mental health problems are becoming more common? You could say, for example, I think modern lifestyles dramatically increase stress levels. Long working hours, financial pressure, and constant exposure to social media can seriously affect mental well-being. In many cases, people have underlying conditions that go undiagnosed, which makes the situation worse. Okay, so we've got dramatically increase, we've got underlying conditions, we've also got an extra one here to go undiagnosed. Okay, so that's kind of like, almost like a passive form there. Instead of saying they are undiagnosed, we can say they go undiagnosed. And that's more like saying that they are left undiagnosed for a longer period of time. All right, so there's one question. Next question. Should individuals take more responsibility for their own health? Again, let me know in the comments. What do you think? How would you answer this question? You could answer. To some extent, yes. Many health issues are linked to poor eating habits and a sedentary lifestyle. And if more people were proactive, they could prevent many diseases before they develop. However, not all illnesses are avoidable. Some people have genetic or underlying conditions and they might need to undergo treatment or even undergo surgery. So while personal responsibility is important, governments must still provide accessible healthcare. Right, so we've got lots there. We have poor eating habits, sedentary lifestyle, undergo treatment, underlying conditions. So you can just see how this response is just a step up from like a standard response with just, like B2 level vocabulary or B1 level vocabulary. Instead of saying, some people have health issues because of their alimentation and they're lazy. You can see it's linked to poor eating habits and a sedentary lifestyle. It's just another level of speaking. Okay. All right, so I think I've got one more question for you here. Yes. Do you think modern medicine has improved our quality of life? Again, let me know in the comments. Write your response to this. You could say, yeah, definitely. I mean, because of advances in medicine, a lot of people can now fully recover from illnesses that would have been fatal in the past. And even if there isn't a complete cure, doctors can usually alleviate the symptoms, which makes a huge difference to someone's quality of life. Okay. All right, so there you go. We've got alleviate, fully recover. Yeah, that was about it. That was all we had there. But again, you can just see the difference there between kind of B2 or even B1 level and C1, just a bit more advanced vocabulary, so that you can get more points in your exam. All right, so that's it for our collocations for health. Again, do practice in the comments. Make sure that you kind of actively produce those, and that will help to get it into your memory a bit better. If you did enjoy this lesson and if you learned something new today, please do give it a like and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so that you can come back every week and keep preparing for your C1 exam with me. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. And if you would like to take a lesson with me or take any of my video courses, you can go to www.englishclassesonline.co.uk. The link is in the description. Click that there and you'll be able to see all of my services and my video courses there. All right, that's all from me for today, and I'll see you in another lesson soon. All right, bye.